Let me give you the four real quick, bullet pointed. Okay, active. Again, you're listing your home. Active, maximum exposure, ready to sell right now. You're showing the home. Coming soon. It's just buzz creation while you're prepping the home, getting it ready for sale.
No syndication, no showings, but public marketing.
Exactly. Delayed marketing, limited exposure before going full public. You're still showing it, but it's just limited exposure within the broker community. And then the last one, again, office exclusive, very private. Only a very small group of people even know it's on the market.
Help, I need some guidance. Help, selling and buying. Help, I need some real estate. Help.
It is episode 538 of Albuquerque Real Estate Talk with Tego and Tracy Venturi, Venturi Group Real Broker in Albuquerque. Usually we just start with some banter, so we need some banter, Tracy, something to get us warmed up.
Sure. I was sitting here thinking 538 episodes that we've been doing over 10 years, right? I was trying to do the math in my head to think how many, 52 weeks a year. We hardly have ever missed a week, right?
Yeah, we've missed a few. You know what? You know what's really interesting, and people ask me when I'm out and about doing this. I said, it keeps us aware of what's going on in the market. We're on top of it all the time because we want to talk about it. What's interesting is we never are lacking of content. We're never lacking of, what are we going to talk about this week, right? Because there's always something going on in the real estate world.
It's true. And you usually spend a considerable amount of time prepping for this, right? You do a lot of research and you spend a lot of your morning getting ready. And I just show up and say, yeah, I think I'll just talk about stuff we talk about, right?
Yeah.
And it drives you crazy.
Okay, so let's just talk about what we're going to do. So obviously it's the beginning of June 2025.
It's already mid-June, really.
Okay, what is it? Yeah, you're right. It is almost mid-June, I guess. And
11th, 12th, something like that.
Still digging and analyzing the data from May sales, as well as a bunch of other stuff going on in the market. There's a lot of news out there about the real estate market is slowing down. I wanted to dig into that a little bit deeper and bring Albuquerque into context. Got some really interesting tips for home sellers this week on when you list your home, when you put your home for sale in the MLS. I know you don't like that terminology, list.
No, list for sale is fine, but it's when people say my listing. I'm like, it's not your listing. It's a home for sale. It's like a home you're representing for sale.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it is a big deal. But when you put it in the MLS, you have a lot of different options on how that property is, let's say, displayed. And we'll break that down. But I think this is important for sellers to understand what their options are when they go on the market.
For sure.
And then Tracy, you've got a neighborhood feature?
I do. Yes. We're going to talk Las Lunas.
Well, that's a whole community. That's not a neighborhood.
It's not a neighborhood. It's a whole community.
Awesome.
And for those of you who don't know, we have talked about Las Lunas before and featured it. It is thriving. And, one of our team members lives there and loves it and is a big part of that community. So I got firsthand from her before we record.
Got it. And again, we're the Venturi Group of Real Broker. We're at 505-448-8888 if you want to reach out to us anytime. Sam, let's pull up the screen here. I actually just pulled up my Facebook because that's where I've got a lot of my market stat stuff, and it's Tego Venturi. You can find me. It's all out there public. Just a quick summary of the May home sales data. There were just shy of 2,000 homes for sale in the Albuquerque area in May. And that's an average for May, right? Just to give you context. But the more important thing, it's about 17% more than 1 year ago. However, and that's what I keep telling people, we're still 25% fewer than in 2019.
Which was a more normal year.
Yeah, the more normal year. Remember, we were doing the show in 2018 and 19 in particular, and we're saying, wow, there's so few homes on the market. That was in 2019. And just, again, to bring it all into context, we're still 25% lower than those 2019 numbers. So, yes, inventory has grown. And I think, and you've seen this, Tracy, but it's actually a little bit of a reprieve for buyers. Unfortunately, buyers have been on their heels for the last 4 years where, they didn't, I don't want to say they didn't have any leverage, but it was definitely a very strong seller's market for the longest time here.
Right.
And we're finally moving a little bit closer to, I wouldn't call it a buyer's market, maybe a little more balanced. And technically, we're still technically in a seller's market when you look at month supply of inventory.
I appreciate all of that detail because when you said the sellers are on their back foot, buyers are on their back
They
foot.
they have been, yeah.
I was like, my brain was going, tell me, what does that mean? I'm not really sure what you're trying to say, but then you told
Let
me.
me put it this way. In general, again, this is generalities, is sellers have had the advantage for the last 4 years.
I got it.
Yeah,
You gave
yeah,
it to me. I
yeah.
understand.
Okay. And so anyway, now it's shifting a little bit more closer where
A little more
buyers,
balanced.
yeah, a little more balanced.
So statistics are great. And, what we both know and what all of our listeners know, Tego, is that some of the houses, it is not a buyer's market,
That's true.
right? Some of the properties that are coming to market are the gems or they're priced right for condition. And we're still having buyers compete for those homes, getting multiple offers, and others, it's more of a buyer's market. When we see a house that's been on the market, I had one yesterday that I showed, and it was 90 days on market. And my clients were like, well, what do you think? And I said, well, 90 days is a long time. It was a luxury home, so it does take a little longer sometimes, although we've had a few luxury properties we represent lately that have gotten interest immediately.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We have the one we talked about last week, that $1,650,000 house really close to our office. We had 7 showings in the first 2 days, and we had about 30 to 40. I heard probably more than 40 groups through during the open house this weekend on Saturday when it was open for 3 hours, which ended up being 4 hours because people kept showing up. So, it just depends on the marketing and the presentation and the pricing and putting the whole package together as to what type of market it is for property. Is it a buyer's market for that house, or is it a seller's market?
Anytime I write something and I say it's a buyer's market or seller's market or shifting this way or shifting that way, as I always say is you always got to put the caveat out there that every house is different, every part of town is different, every price range is different. It's all different. It just depends. So one thing I did want to jump into, Tracy, was, let's see, what else? I know. We got to talk about pricing because the median price is actually down from last May. So median price is the middle price of all the homes that sold, right? So in May, it was down anywhere 1% to 2%, depending on which data you look at. But if you're just looking at all detached, single-family detached homes, it's down 2%. And this is the headline. It's the first decline year over year we've seen in a very, very long time. There's a big however to go along with that. For whatever reason, and I'm not exactly sure why, the homes in May this year were quite a bit smaller, 115 square foot smaller. So we went from 1,800 and something square feet to 1,700 and something square feet in 1 year, May versus May. So yes, median prices are down. However, if you look at it per square foot, prices are actually up about 3%.
So we had this conversation with our team at our meeting this past week, and it was an interesting conversation because they're saying they're noticing like the new home builders are building a little bit smaller, trying to keep the prices as affordable as they
You know
can.
what builders call that? Value engineering.
Yeah. So they're value engineering to try to make sure that they can sell their homes and that people can afford them. So it's interesting.
I've got a different chart up here I want to talk about. There was a headline floating around, and it was one of those typical national real estate stories that doesn't really apply to Albuquerque, but of course, a local Albuquerque news source picked it up, and it said the surge in home listings has, shifted the market toward buyers. And it's like, well, okay, that may be true in many parts of Florida, and that may be true in Austin, and that may be true in Boise, and that may be true in, certain areas, but Albuquerque, not so much. What I did, Tracy, this chart, if you look at this, and if you're online, you can see it, but what I did is I charted how many homes got listed every single month, all the way back to 2000. And in May of this year, we had 1,253 homes come on the market versus 1,193 last May versus 1,073 in 23. And we're still not back to, again, what a normal amount of listings coming on the market would be if we go back to 2020 or 2019. No, that's 2020. Anyway,
All the
2019, it was
way.
1,600 came on the market in May versus 1,250 this year. So we really aren't even back to what normal pace of homes coming on the market. The thing that's striking about this chart is looking at 2007, where, there was clearly something going on at that point. The thing that's pretty interesting about that, home prices were just barely starting to turn over at that point
Right.
when we had that huge surge in the number of homes being listed.
Tego, I look back at the '07 data of 2,600 homes, and I remember how, like, you could show a home buyer 3 days in a row and you could show them 16 or 18 houses in a day if you could fit it all in, and you had to plan time for bathroom breaks and maybe a snack or a soda or something along the route, because you'd be out for 6, 7 hours and you could do it all again the next day and
Yeah.
the next day.
Yeah.
And then they got to pick from all of those houses. I remember an engineer was moving here, and he had a spreadsheet and all the properties that he would work for him. So it was from Rio Rancho to Albuquerque, a very broad area. And I literally had to show him 60 houses, and then he picked his top choice. And
Yeah.
of course, it was a buyer's market. So we
Yeah.
were negotiating heavily on that one house,
Right.
which they got.
Yeah, there was a
Um,
lot of different strategies that came into play back in those days. We're
Yeah.
definitely nowhere near that. I just pulled up another chart if you're seeing our video here. This is the number of homes for sale by month all the way back to 1994. And again, it puts 2025 in context to the rest of, the rest of the years. You can see, yes, we've had an increase in the number of homes in the market, but we're still grossly shy of kind of like these normal years, let's say 16, 17, 18, something like that. So, all right, that's enough on market data. Let's talk Los Lunas, Tracy.
Okay, good idea. So Los Lunas, just south, 20 minutes from the airport probably, or downtown 20, 25, 30 minutes, depending where you're headed. UNM, the hospitals, the downtown area, the airport, all those places. A lot of people love the Los Lunas small townish kind of community, but very close to the big city, right?
Yeah, and I pulled it up on the map here. It's interesting because Los Lunas city proper is one thing, but there are, other communities. There's El Cerro Mission, there's Tomé, there's Los Chavez that are kind of still part of a Los Lunas proper, or not proper, non-proper, Los Lunas kind of area, but not necessarily a Los Lunas address. So when you're looking at the boundary, but then there's also Peralta and Bosque Farms in that area as well.
Right. And so one of my favorite communities on your map is Bosque Farms, but the data that I have right now will not be including Bosque Farms.
Okay.
So
Let's
we're
talk Los
talking Los
Lunas.
Lunas. So for people who aren't very familiar with what's going on in Los Lunas, they have a very active community development business where they do a lot to entice businesses to move into Los Lunas. They have the Facebook data center. What's
Yeah.
it called? Not
It's
data.
it's a data center. No, it is.
And
It's
then there's
yeah.
an Amazon distribution
Pull it up here on the map.
facility,
Yep.
right?
There's Walmart, not Amazon. You're
Oh,
thinking,
Walmart.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Walmart distribution center, and then
Right.
the data center
And the data
is
center.
right next to it. Yep.
And right across from that, on the south side of Highway 6, which is just west of I-25, are many new home communities and new homes still being built. Jubilee Los Lunas is there. You just highlighted it. That's an active adult community. It's been built out for a long time. So there are resale homes occasionally in there. Beautiful clubhouse and facilities in that Jubilee community. Just west of it, lots of new homes going in. Hakes Brothers is building there. Brazo Homes is building there. We've got other new home builders going on in Los Lunas. We've got D.R. Horton. We've got Richmond America. My good friend Claudia works at Richmond America in Los Lunas. They are at Seasons at Fiesta, and they're offering 4.5% financing right now on properties that can close quickly and 2% towards buyers' closing costs. But let's talk about the community a little bit.
Okay.
It's interesting, Starlight Cinema. What a sweet name. Doesn't that? It's like a
Oh, I know.
throwback.
Yeah, it is.
right?
It is. Yeah.
There's a
great
movie theater.
There's a great restaurant right next to it.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like Mexican seafood. What's it called?
Mariscos.
Marisco's Altamar.
I think it is Mariscos
Yeah,
Altamar.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
They have one off Coors and
Yep.
just south of I-40 also. So Los Lunas, right? If you get on their Facebook, Village of Los Lunas Recreation Division Facebook, you'll see lots of activities going on there. They have the Daniel Fernandez Community Rec Center in Los Lunas. Very active. They've got a lot of activities going on for kids this summer, so they can do that. And also the farmers market is now open during the season, so it was closed over the winter, but the farmers market is back in action. The Badlands drive-in movie night they have now. There's this Friday night, I think. Anyway, they have movies throughout the summer, drive-in movies. How fun is that?
Yeah.
Right. Actually, what were the names of those ones? It was like kind of like Back to the Future type places, Anyway, really fun movies for drive-in. Do you remember being at drive-in movies when
Yes,
you were
of
younger?
course.
Yeah. They have a huge 4th of July celebration, and right now they're looking for vendors and people who want to be in the parade. They have the gates open at 6 p.m. that night for all the activities, and then fireworks at 9 o'clock. So they've got a big festival for that. They have the splash pad is now open again at, I think, is that at the community center too? Anyway, there's a splash pad so you can go and get wet. It's not like a swimming pool, but a splash pad. Lots of stuff, but the Village of Los Lunas Recreation Facebook page has everything you need to know, and it's great. Other new home builders, right?
Yeah.
D.R. Horton's there, Hicks Brothers, Abrazo. Pulte's not there. Twilight might be building there. They used to. But they have a lot of different neighborhoods where they're building. And Hicks Brothers right now has one in Eastland Hills, which is, it's not central Los Lunas. It's kind of southeast part of Los Lunas. So it's a little longer commute if you're commuting to the Albuquerque metro area. But they're starting in the low 300s. And you can get a pretty good deal because they've got flex cash that might make it even under 300.
Well, and then that helps with down payment.
Right.
Well, I take that back. That helps with
You're closing.
your closing and buying down your interest rate, so you can
Right.
get a better payment. So,
Right. And
yeah.
they have some special interest rates going on also. So it's a quick story. I had some clients that came over and we looked at resale homes. They were pre-qualified for $300,000. And I took them to new construction, and because of the interest rate buy down and the closing costs, they were able to buy a house for $350,000, and the monthly payment was the same as buying a $300,000 house. So sometimes when you buy new, it gives you a little bit more buying power because those builders are helping you get a better monthly by the different things that they have to offer
sure.
to you. So good opportunities. So if you're thinking of Los Lunas, we know it well. We sell a lot of properties in Los Lunas, and we'd be happy to help you whether it's resale or new. But let me give you a couple stats.
Okay,
I know I'm talking more
go ahead.
not non-stat. Oh, wait, Tego, guess how many homes are on the market right now in Los Lunas? All homes in the Los Lunas. It's called Los Lunas. I
Well,
know
if we think you're talking about single, I gotta clarify because you know how I am. Are we talking single family detached or all residential?
all residential.
All
So it'll include
residential.
manufactured, but not land.
Okay, so about 2020, probably.
This is not, this is like,
no,
come
no,
on, just
I
throw me a
gotta
number.
get this right.
No.
I'm gonna say 250.
Oh my gosh, no. 166. And I thought that was a lot.
Okay.
166 homes on the market to choose from right now. 80 homes are in pending sale.
Got it.
613 closed last year.
Okay.
Of those, they ranged in price from $50,000 to $1,150,000. The ones, like 3 of them closed at $50,000. All of them were cash only, manufactured homes, not on permanent foundation, needed a lot of work.
Yeah.
But
that
they were
makes
all
sense.
on
Of
an
course.
acre. So when
Yeah.
you think about it, that acre, if you don't want the manufactured home that's not very livable, is already got utilities set up.
Right.
So somebody might be buying them just to build there, right? But if you take out manufactured, 543 resale homes.
Yeah.
So still a lot. You know, I think a lot of us think of Las Lunas as this really small town now, still, and it's thriving and it's viable and people love to live there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So let's, I want to do this as almost a standalone section because I think it's going to be valuable. So if you're a home seller and you're getting ready to list your home for sale, and you know you're working with your realtor, or you're working with us, whoever it is, and you're going to put it in the multiple listing service, right? So we I'm very well versed on the multiple listing service. So that's our basically our housing market, right? This is where
the marketplace.
the marketplace for homes. So homes that go for sale, they generally go into multiple listing service. Then realtors can see it and consumers can see it many times, but not always. And that's what I want to talk about. There's different ways you can present your property. And Tracy, I gave you some notes on some of these things too, so you can help me, tell me where I'm wrong. So when we put a home on the market, there's different options here. So one, you can go active and you put it out there and it goes everywhere. But we also have a coming soon option,
Right.
where you can kind of pre-market a home. We have a thing called delayed marketing, which is kind of not a perfect term, but it means that you're marketing it, but not everywhere. And then we also have a thing called office exclusive. And honestly, I don't think even all brokers understand what these options are. And so I want to explain it for both sellers as well as brokers so they know, what they can do.
Part of that is so that sellers have a choice in how their house is marketed.
Absolutely. It's all about choice for the home seller because not every situation is the same. There's always going to be different reasons. And, we'll go through how they're different. So first off is what we call an active listing, meaning it's fully listed, it's available to everybody, it's on all the different websites, it's on, Zillow and
Publicly
Realtor.com,
marketed everywhere.
publicly marketed everywhere. It shows up on all those different websites.
And just to be clear, when we put a property for sale in the multiple listing service, we check boxes. It goes out to Zillow, Realtor.com. It goes out to syndicated everywhere.
There's about 1,000 or so different websites that properties show up on that are in our multiple listing service through a syndication service that we use. I'm not going to get into the details on that, but yeah, I mean that's what happened. It's our own website. Every broker can have their own website displaying all the homes that are for sale,
not just the ones we have.
Yeah.
So we use that when the home's fully ready for the market.
Yep.
People want it to be exposed right away everywhere.
Yep.
Right. And there's no need for any delay.
Yep.
To having it available.
And it's available to be shown too. That's another kind of distinction is, it's fully marketed, it's everywhere, and it's ready to be shown. The other side of that is something we have, it's called coming soon, which would be a step before fully active. And that's where you can start pre-marketing the property. So you maybe put a yard sign out, maybe start doing some social media posts. It doesn't show up on all the websites, all the big websites. It doesn't really show up on any of what we call syndication websites. It really would only show up on your individual broker's website or our own website if we want to display it, if we want to put it on social media. That's how you promote a coming soon. The thing with coming soon is you don't show it. It's not ready to be shown. That's the
not
intention.
available.
Not available to be seen. It's really just creating the buzz, getting the word out, letting people know that it's coming, but it's not available to go and see and make offers on yet.
And
technically
you can make offers for sure.
You make a sight unseen offer. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But we use this a lot, right?
Yeah.
Because we've got a client who knows that as of next Saturday or whatever, their house is going to be ready to be shown.
Right.
But right now they're still doing some final things on the house. We don't have the final photos yet. Maybe staging is still happening. Maybe they're doing touch up or they're decluttering or they've got family in town. And as soon as their vacationers leave, then the house is ready to be shown. Right. And so we use that opportunity to create the buzz and make sure that when they hit the market, more people are aware of that house, that it's coming. Sometimes we're showing houses on a Saturday or Sunday, and if we knew that the neighbor's house where we really want to buy is about to be on the market, we might wait for it if we know that it's in the coming soon stage, because we might be settling for something else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's exactly that.
Yeah.
That's a good example of how that could benefit buyers, not just sellers.
Right.
So the third one is something called delayed marketing. It's not a great term, but the difference with this is that it's not going out to the whole world.
But is it in the multiple listing
It's-
service?
It's in the multiple listing service. All 4,000, 4,400, brokers, realtors that are in the multiple listing service here in Albuquerque will see it and can see it in that system, in that service, but it's not out on all the websites.
So can it be shown?
And yes, it's still available to be shown. It's really intended for somebody that maybe wants to, let's say, kind of test the market, not ready to, get it all over the entire world where everybody can see it and see all the photos. They want it sold, but they'd rather kind of keep it a little bit more tight and close in, and again, not out everywhere. Now, it might hurt you as a seller to do this, because now you're not getting the broad exposure, and it could just
Limit your potential buyer pool.
limit the number of buyers that see it. And that's the downside of it. But for some sellers, it might make sense.
I can think of a seller from a few years ago who would have really liked this option. And they had high-end artwork. They had a Picasso on a wall.
Mhm.
They had things that they didn't really want the whole world to know were there for safety reasons. And if we could have marketed it just to the realtor community. See, they didn't want even a sign in the yard. They didn't want the neighbors to know they were selling. They didn't want pictures of the interior of their home out to the world. So this is where that could work.
Well, and then that's a perfect segue into the fourth option,
Okay.
which is really the ultimate in kind of privacy and security for a home seller. And it's called an office exclusive listing, meaning the only people that really even know it's on the market are the brokers within that particular listing broker's office. So what that means is somebody in our office, it lists the property for sale. It's not distributed to everybody, even in the MLS. So it's only the brokers within that certain office. That broker can have one-on-one conversations with certain people, but they can't publicly market it. The broker can't, again, blast it out everywhere. You can't put it on Facebook, can't put it out there and market it. It's really for the person that wants everything very private, personal. It could be, let's say, a divorce situation, maybe, right? Or it could be
Celebrity.
a celebrity, high net worth, maybe people, like you said, the people with the Picasso.
And
So yeah, that is also available. Again, you're limiting your buyer pool
significantly.
but there might be a place where it makes sense for people.
Yeah. Interesting. So those are the four.
Those are the four. So
Active, coming soon,
Yep.
delayed marketing, and office exclusive. So if
Yep.
you're thinking of selling your home and want to talk about it, if one of these appeals to you more than the other, we'd be happy to get information to you and talk about the pros and cons and how we can best get you the best opportunity to sell your home.
let me give you the four real quick, bullet pointed. Okay, active. Again, you're listing your home. Active, maximum exposure, ready to sell right now. You're showing the home. Coming soon. It's just buzz creation while you're prepping the home, getting it ready for sale.
No syndication, no showings, but public marketing.
Exactly. Delayed marketing, limited exposure before going full public. You're still showing it, but it's just limited exposure within the broker community. And then the last one, again, office exclusive, very private. Only a very small group of people even know it's on the market.
But you can show it.
But you can show it, yes.
But- Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks
That's
for
it.
that.
Yep.
Very educational.
So Tracy, yeah, I know that was a little heady, but I think it was good. Homes. What do we
Yeah.
have? We've got some homes. I mean, there have been a fair number of homes. This is the time of year that a lot of people are listing their homes for sale. We generally see a surge in May and June in the number of homes on the market. So
We do,
yeah.
but let's talk about newly listed feature
Okay.
property. Have a newly listed property in Mesa del Sol for sale, $425,000. It's a 4-bedroom, 3 full bathrooms, 2-story. Mesa del Sol, just south of the airport. We get a lot of people there. It's a 5612 Arbus Drive, Albuquerque. We get a lot of people that commute to downtown, to UNM, that work at the airport, that work on base, that love Mesa del Sol. And it's a really beautiful community. I've been out there quite a bit lately. I just sold a house and closed on it last week out there for some people. And those sellers were so kind to tell their neighbor that, we'd done a great job. And so they called me to help them sell their house. This house is built in 2016 by Ray Lee and about just over 2,000 square feet for $425,000. Mesa del Sol has a community swimming pool. You have to get a key, so it's not open to everybody. You get like a slide key so you can go and use the pool. My particular clients use it a lot, so that's great. There's a dog park. There's open space. Lots of things to love. There's a little cafe in the area. There's a lot of jobs, right? Netflix is there and several other big companies are there. The yards, so at Mesa del Sol, they all have alleyways and the garages are all rear loading. So they come in from the alley. So you have these beautiful front entries that are just really lovely because you don't see garages as you drive down the street. This particular lot is pretty small, so it's a really nice, like if you need to lock and leave or if you don't like to take care of yards. It's low maintenance. It has a little bit of AstroTurf or an artificial grass, so if you need that. But mostly it's covered patio that's shielded because the patio's on the west side of the house, so it has nice shade all afternoon.
It has a rear loading garage, right? I
All
pulled
of
the
them
photos
are.
up. Yeah.
It's about a half a block to the community swimming pool, about 2 or 3 blocks to the dog park, and then there's a really large open space park just a couple blocks away also. So really great community. So that one is going to be open on Saturday from 1 to 3 with Sonia. So if you want to go see it on Saturday, it will be open. We have another house that's going to be open this weekend, also new to the market on Dante, Dante. I assume it's Dante Drive. And that one will be open Friday from 3:30 to 5:30 and also Saturday from 2:30 to 4:30. So if you're interested, give us a call. We can give you more information. We had a few others, Tego, that we put on the market that are already off the market. They got offers. So kind of a low weekend. It's Father's Day, so we're not doing any open houses on Father's Day. I don't know if you knew it's Father's Day this
Is
Sunday.
it Father's Day?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm sure you've got that on your radar.
Yeah, no.
But we're not doing any open houses on Sunday, honoring the fathers and giving everybody kind of that day to do their own thing. So, but if you have questions on real estate, you know how to reach us. I'd be happy to chit chat, like to talk real estate all day, every day, and see if you need help, even if it's just like some valuation questions or tax information or whatever. We'd be happy to help.
Thanks for listening. Again, it's Venturi Group, 505-448-8888. Take care. Thanks for watching the video all the way to the end. We appreciate you. And please click subscribe. We'll keep you updated on what's going on with real estate in the Albuquerque area and New Mexico, and of course, across the entire country. Have a great one.